You may have seen yesterday the video that Nigel has recently arranged, talking about 40 years of New Frontiers, and we went through some of our experiences over those years, which was fun to do. And I thought maybe for a few of these mornings I'd change style a bit and just relive some of the history that didn't come up in the interview perhaps, but nevertheless were extraordinary experiences you might be interested to hear, maybe encouragement to you. I'm reminded, for instance, when I was at Bible college, as before the New Frontiers story started, and had been filled with the Spirit, I had been elected college prayer meeting leader, and as such had the privilege to be able to invite one outside speaker a year to speak to the student body. And I'd invited Arthur Wallace, and he came to speak on revival at my request, and gave a tremendous word, but illustrated from what was happening in the Far East at the time, Indonesia or maybe the Philippines, where there was a revival happening, including a lot of signs and wonders and miracles. And I was in trouble from the faculty for inviting a guy who spoke about supernatural, because that was really, in those days, that was just not on at all. And to be honest, by that time, I was having the joy of laying hands on a number of students, and things were beginning to happen. It was quite a lively time at London Bible College. And so we were seen as being somewhat contentious. Anyway, the next night I was at Westminster Chapel listening to the awesome Dr. Martyn Lloyd Jones. What a preacher, hugely respected by the college and indeed by anyone who heard him. And he was working through the book of Acts and had come to Acts chapter 8. And sometimes to sit and listen to Lloyd Jones was just quite a phenomenal experience. The power of God on his preaching was phenomenal. And he preached in Acts 8, Philip in Samaria. And to be honest, it sounded so similar to what I'd heard from Arthur, about signs and wonders and all that happened in Acts chapter 8. And anyway, I thought, I'm going to go and see him. And I went round to his vestry, and he greeted me very warmly. And I just told him the story. I told him I was a student. I told him I'd been filled with the Spirit. And he didn't bat an eyelid at that. He was comfortable. And I told him how Arthur had preached and how I had been reprimanded for bringing in someone who would say such things. And yet here he was, the highly respected Dr. Lloyd Jones, preaching almost the same thing. And I thought, well, let's see what he has to say. And to my great surprise, he said to me, how many points did I say I had tonight? And I didn't know I was going to be questioned. I said, you said 3 points at the beginning of your sermon. And he said, and how many points did I give? And I thought, I don't remember him ever saying 2 or 3. And so I said, 1. And he made no reference to that while he was preaching, but I realized it, and I said 1. Then he said, that's right. And then he said, God opened it all up to me while I was preaching. And then he looked at some papers on his desk. He said, those notes would do for next Sunday. He said, God just came on me, opened it up to me. And he just followed the Spirit, this wonderful man. And I said to him, well, this is so, in a sense, frustrating. And he said, the greatest sin of the evangelical church today is telling God what he's not allowed to do. And I said, well, it can become a basis for argument, but the tragedy is we're not seeing it anyway. It's arguing about words. He said, no. He said, don't forget what it says. Ask and seek and knock. And every one of those 3 verbs is in the present continuous. Ask, go on asking. Seek, go on seeking. Knock, go on knocking. God's made promises. And so, in great contrast to the sort of conservative college, there was this wonderful man of God urging me, keep pressing on, be open to what God wants to do, cry out to him for more of the Spirit. Let's believe God for revival. Let me encourage you. Let's keep asking. Let's keep seeking. Let's keep knocking. It's in the Bible.